Okay, so third and final part, and probably going to keep this one a little bit short because I'm getting a little bit of a headache. I don't normally do this much kind of computer work in a day. So I just wanted to start this video though with the quote that I heard from a friend just recently. I thought, yes, that's the best thing I've heard, all year so far. And it was, there is no die, so you may as well just start doing what's right now, okay? And treating yourself correctly and just doing it now, okay? And what he meant by that was, there is no death really, okay? People do die in this form and in this realm, and this physical body does and can die, okay? But what he actually meant was there is no literal death, okay? What we're living in a multiverse that is just ever expanding, okay? So when your energy dies and transforms and transmutes and takes on a new form, that's exactly what happens. It takes on a new form, okay? At some stage, you're likely to come back to the human condition again. And so, what he's really saying is that if you don't learn your karmic lessons, okay, and like I said, treating the body with utmost care and respect and giving it essentially only the very limited amount of things that it needs in order to thrive and not just survive, well, until you start doing that, you're going to keep coming back to work out how to do that. So you may as well just do it, okay? Just get on with it. Just do it. And if you haven't known that you're supposed to do that, then that's why I'm here and that's why I'm telling you. But I somehow don't quite believe that there's anyone left that doesn't know that detox is really the only way, okay? It's the only way. If you want to, well, I mean, it's not even about, the next level. You have to go next level. The whole of the multiverse is, like I said, continuously going next level. It's continuously expanding. And so if your ego basically is like, then yeah, you'll just be and flicked off because, you just come back another time and you might get it, And I'm serious. It really is going to be like that. So I did want to just pick up on one thing before I go further into a little bit more about what's happening for me kind of now and the Healy. And I really do want to talk kind of quite deeply about the Healy. Is when I said that the human condition makes me angry, because that's just not true. Okay, there isn't really anything that makes me angry anymore. I occasionally I do go into reactive patterns, and I can, and I have sort of got down to my last sort of surviving karmic bondage pattern, and I've got a good feeling about that. I think that's I think I've moved through that now. So I don't get angry. Of course I don't get angry, and I connect with people on whatever level they're at, and I genuinely love and care about people wherever they're at, okay? Honestly, truly, right, really. But that doesn't mean that I can spend great deals of time around them because, like I said, we are becoming light. And I'm serious about that, okay? We are transmuting from being a physical 3D body, okay, to opening and softening, purging what's kept us hardened down, letting in the light, creating light from the inside, and essentially becoming a light body or a light being. And it's going to take, several decades potentially of training, of self-mastery to go beyond, way beyond what you put in and on your body, okay? You've got to get rid of the food. We just got to get rid of it. It's toxic. All food. I'm learning that almost all food is toxic on the human body, okay? So how do I know that, right? I'll tell you, I have an indicator, and it is my skin. Okay. Now, like I said, I don't go to the doctors. They don't know anything, right? And for my skin, the only thing that they would give me is antibiotics. Why? It's not a bacteria. What I have is rosacea. And it kind of came up. It came up actually in a textbook way. It sort of came on when I was about 32, 33. And it was just when kind of computers were becoming more readily available, but we didn't have one at home yet. And so I went to the library because suddenly, I had this kind of going on. And, interestingly enough, I will add that when this came on, I was actually working at a hotel that had its own spring water. And I was working a lot, and I was drinking about 2 litres of their water a day. And there was a receptionist there for a while in the spa where I was working. And one day, she was a young, probably 20, 21, 22 something girl. And she kind of picked up one of the waters. And for some reason, she was looking in it. I don't know why. I wouldn't have done that. And I didn't. But she was like, ugh, I ain't drinking that. And I was like, what? What's going on? And I had a look and I looked, and actually, true. Yeah, it was full of parasites, tiny little worms. And, I kind of wish that I had thought in terms of, what do they call it? Compensation at the time, because it has literally plagued me now for nearly 20 years, coming into my 50th year. And that happened, like I said, when I was sort of 32. So anyway, I went to the library again, because that was kind of what you did back then. We don't do it as much anymore unless you have children, and that it's a really great thing to do with them. And so I got online and I started searching for rosacea. Now, it took quite a long time. I didn't find anything. Nothing. No information about it out there at all. I eventually came across an ebook that was for sale. These days, you just get them for free. Then it cost me $100. But I wanted to know what the guy had to say. And it was very interesting. He basically said that it tends to be vegetarians and vegans in particular that get rosacea because they don't have enough stomach acid, okay? And a particular amino acid can help to bring on this, it can just help to encourage hydrochloric acid. I did actually try taking hydrochloric acid, but that didn't quite agree with me. I wasn't too keen on that. So I just went with the lysine. So there you go. If you suffer with rosacea at all, lysine can help. And it did help me for many years. I would just take lysine. If I stopped taking it, it would come back. So I would just start taking again, and it was fine. So, but it started to not quite work a few years ago. And I, anyway, was getting more and more interested in this whole idea of leaky gut, okay, which has come out in the last, 5-6 years, which is that whenever we eat acidic foods, and that happens to generally be sweet foods and sugar and carbs and foods with a high glycemic index, because it's so acidic, it has and I'm not going to go too much into it because there is a whole video on the gut, okay, and you can scroll down and you can find that. But I was anyway thinking about leaky gut and the fact that it creates tiny little rips and tears due to the acid, basically. And acid, what is acid? What happens if you pour acid? You create heat, inflammation, redness, burning, corrosion, erosion. Okay, and so it can be very difficult for people to understand that that's what's going on inside your body. Okay, that's what we mean by inflammatory foods. Okay, so that they're creating rips and tears all over the place. Now, people can have leaky gut in sort of any of the aspects of a leaky of the digestive system. Rosacea is particularly, and then what ends up happening is you will get some form of autoimmune condition. Okay, what ends up happening is that the undigested proteins leach out and they will start to attack the internal workings of the body. So that's when people will end up having some kind of very degenerative disease. It could even be MS or ME or fibromyalgia, lupus, those sorts of things, and even some cancers. Okay, mine was not so severe, thank goodness, and it's just a leaky gut in the stomach. And I could understand how it was related to the stomach as well, because as well in alternative therapies and the holistic nature, and certainly for me and the way that I work sort of body psychologically, however you would say that, which is that every aspect of the body is related to a mind and emotion as well. Okay, and so the stomach is very much related to home. And as a young child, like I said, we were in the military and we used to move home really very often. Okay, and so that, as well as having quite a toxic, and then being vegan, and this is the thing about being vegan, is that you will find you probably have a high diet in carbs, and you really do need to be careful being vegan these days, because even though I said it makes my life easier, it does make my life easier because I know what to look for. It doesn't necessarily make everyone else's life easier because they don't know enough about diet and exercise. And part of what I'm noticing that happens with vegan foods is that there's packed full of sugar, essentially. Okay, so I've been working to heal a leaky gut. However, during that process and during all the process of fasting and intermittent fasting and, starting to eat meat again, and particularly was through having broths and things like that, because fat and collagen is what can really help to heal the flesh, basically. And so I do definitely recommend a vegan diet for some time to uncover, if you like, and to start to kind of release the fat, as long as you're not having too many carbs, and include in that some intermittent fasting and or just some regular fasting. Like I said, you need to detox and you need to do an elimination diet. So you will be starting to burn the fat. Now the fat, again, there's a video about fat. I'm not going to go fully into that, okay? But the fat acts like a band-aid to repair the rips and tears, okay? So essentially people start to suffocate from the inside, and that's why they become sick and tired and pissed off, and because they literally aren't getting enough oxygen to all the internal workings of the body. And I'm not just going to say the brain, but also and including the brain. And now all of those people are trying to force you to suffocate yourself, not just from the inside, but from the outside as well. Okay, no, right? I totally disagree with that. I know that the breath is the essence of life itself, okay? And that which only half breathes, half lives. It's a yogic proverb that I have lived by ever since I started doing yoga. Okay, so 27, 28 years now. So, leaky gut, right? That was my issue. Then I go into menopausal, and I start, and I also had, because I was running my own retreat, we had a far infrared sauna. So I was always doing saunas anyway, but far infrared sauna actually works quite differently, and you can stay in a far infrared sauna for a significant amount of time. And I was doing that, like, you know, sort of like 40 minutes, 50, well, even up to an hour or longer. And I think I just kind of opened all the sweat channels in my body. And so, you know, as a result of that, I have literally burnt all the fat in my body. And last year I had to really make an effort to gain some fat because my skin had gone out of control. I've realized through that whole process what it was that was actually really affecting my skin. Well, number one, my business was breaking down, so that was part of it. And again, that was my home. I was living next door to the business, so I was having to, you know, that was all happening, and I didn't know what was happening. And it wasn't really until we went into our first lockdown that I knew what was happening. But it was, you know, it was an unsettling time. So that was part of that issue, as well as the fact that that particular winter they just chemtrailed us to death, and literally it just howled and wind and rain and grey and cloud. I mean, every single day. And I know it was every single day because I had to go and take down the sauna, and I actually couldn't do it because there were not 2 days in a row where it was dry. Okay, so until the spring. And when it came to March last year, as you might remember, we had our summer and it was incredible, and there were no chemtrails, and my skin just totally cleared up. And then and there I knew, this is toxicity, this is heavy metals, this is going to be a big problem for me. But I wasn't expecting the big B that happened and came later. Okay. Now, I'm aware that I have been talking, I don't know why, but for some reason the time just goes by so quick when I'm just talking about all of this stuff. And I still haven't talked about the Healy. So I'm going to not just, you know, sort of squeeze it in at the end in the last 30 seconds because it's way, way, way too important. I am going to do another video specifically on Healy, how I use her, and how she's helping me, and I believe she can help humanity to heal in a really incredible way. And I'll look forward to doing that again, hopefully in the next day or so. Okay, thank you for listening. I know it, you know, and I actually, in some ways, I'll expect these videos don't get that much watched because it's pretty boring watching somebody else's story. But I wanted to explain to you most importantly, that we are opening and softening, and we are becoming light, and it isn't an easy journey. It can feel like a very lonely one because unless people actually understand, they don't understand. Okay, and that's why I want to help to support you on this journey. Okay, good luck.